the infrastructure and construction focus group. For those who have followed us in the past, you know that we have been active since 2017, growing our activities, growing our events, and growing our contents. And even though there is a pandemic, we are still active, and we have many news for you. I know I'm receiving messages that there is no video of myself, so please excuse that. I am behind the curtain. Let me see if I can point out where I am. So I hope you can see me now. So welcome to all participants, and welcome to our great lineup of speakers we have today. So we have directly from Austria, Fabio Hirsch. From Planradar, we have architect Aris Baza, who speaks to us from Qatar today. We have the great Italian architect Romolo Nati. Welcome, Romolo. And we have Sylvester Wong of AECOM, who will also join us later. So I will give now the floor to architect Abiera, who will introduce the event. I am personally not an architect and not a designer, and that's why the best person to explain what today is all about is architect Abiera. Architect Abiera, you can unmute yourself, and please join us on the floor.
Okay, thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. However, if you were in other place, maybe another time. First of all, the question of digital revolution for AEC professionals. The global AEC professionals is already practicing digital transformation for several years. Major and significant projects around the world requires design, construction, subsequent operations, and facility management in integrated digital formats. In order for our AEC professionals in the Philippines to become globally access projects, digital transformation need to be embraced. There are challenges and gaps that need to be addressed, and strategies need to be developed to overcome, to accelerate our transformation is essential. Okay, what are basically needed? Very simple. Number one is there should be a change of mindset. I think this is one of the greatest point that does not accelerate the embracing of new technology, the mindset. We're talking about the mindset of the client, the mindset of the designers, the mindset of the logistic chain, the sourcing and the products, and also for the contractors, and eventually the subsequent end user of these projects. So mindset is very important, that they should embrace digital transformation, because there is no other, this is the way forward in order for our AEC professionals to access global projects. The other thing is training. There need to be sufficient training, because this digital requires, the next one is that will be required are actually hardwares and softwares. The first is that the ANC should be able to access, afford. Number one is afford, access hardwares and softwares for them to be able to utilize them for projects that require integrated digital platforms. And the last one is actually networking, which is very critical today. And projects now are integrated, and in integration, the number one important thing is the ability of professionals and other sectors to be able to link together to be able to perform the project in a single platform, thereby reducing mistakes and delays. So with this, we have a gentleman who has been invited for this event, and I think they represent the designers, they represent the manufacturers of softwares, they represent also the developers, and also huge entities that are A&E companies such as ACOM. So, Lawrence, I'm done.
Ramon, thank you. Thank you very much for your brief introduction. For those who do not know Ramon, but I think most of the people know you. You are an urban planner and a green building and sustainable development expert, right?
Yeah.
And also you are the chairman of the UAP Committee for Innovation. So this is actually a topic that is very much trending among architects. And on top of that, you're also the chairman of the ICFG Committee for Innovation. So for all these technical things, for all the software, and for all the innovative trends that are coming, architect Albiera is going to be the point person for us. Okay, so I would like to introduce the next speaker, actually our first speaker. So he is, as I said before, directly talking to us from Qatar. And let me find his, there we go. Here, architect Aris Baza. He's based in Qatar and works as a full-time BIM manager for a construction company in Doha. He's an active BIM mentor, an Autodesk certified professional and instructor. He is also a proud member of the Canadian BIM Council, the American Institute of Architects, the Philippine Institute of Architects, and United Architects of the Philippines. His YouTube channel, BIM Smart with Aris Baza, has a growing number of subscribers and have been inspiring more AEC professionals to use BIM. So now I would like to give the floor to Aris because it's time to hear from you.
Thank you, Lawrence, and good afternoon to our fellow panelists, to our friends, and to everyone who is participating in this digital event, as we may call it. My name is Aris Basa, and I hope to be able to impart to you a little bit of BIM to inspire you to continue your your path into using digital technology of today in our construction and even in the design of our infrastructure and buildings. Okay, I'll be sharing my screen, which will be the main outline of my presentation, and I will be talking along these points. I'm sharing my screen now. There we go. Yes, okay, so can everybody see my screen right now? Can everybody see my screen at this time?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, Aris.
Okay. So the main point of my presentation is about a proposal that we have prepared in our special committee in under the National President of the United Architects of the Philippines. This is a joint project of the Special Committees on Intellectual Property and Inventions and Innovations and AGAP, both of which I've been working on with architect Ramon Abiera. Okay, so with this able guidance and endorsement to the National Board of UAP, we hope that one day this will be implemented for the betterment of the practice as a whole in the Philippines. So in this talk, which I was told that I'll be having around 12 to 15 minutes. So I just put my timer on so I won't go overboard. All right. I'll be discussing BIM implementation based on the experience that I've had over the last 20 years here in Qatar, of which the last 10 years we have been, I have been able to witness the development of the use of BIM in the different project phases. And the second one is our proposed BIM training for the various professionals, not only for architects, but also for engineers who are in the AEC industry back there in the Philippines. I'll be touching up a little bit on the BIM software and on the standards as well. So when we talk about BIM, building information model or modeling, and its implementation, this is not a new thing for the Philippines because we have been doing BIM for a long time already. It might not have been so popular back in the days, but now it's gaining more ground and more clients are using BIM not only for marketing purposes, but really for its benefits. Its benefits are already tested and it's already been proven. The challenge lies in the actual implementation of projects, because to be able to implement a project correctly, you have to have the properly experienced BIM professionals, and you have to have, as what Architect Abiera mentioned earlier, is the BIM mindset. The BIM mindset that has to start with the top management of whichever organization. For example, for a client, the client should embrace BIM. He should have a general idea that if he uses BIM for his project, it will benefit him in all facets of the construction and even up to the management and up to the operation of his building. The second is for the designers, for the architects and engineers. They should have also a convinced mindset that BIM is mandatory. BIM has to be done, and BIM has to be able to help in all of the phases of construction, from design to construction, to be able to properly collaborate and use it in the construction site to benefit, number one, the owner, so that the building can be built with less cost and can be built on time or even ahead of time. So in UK, in Europe, and even in America, it has been mandated for government projects to use BIM for projects, like for big projects like administrative buildings, civic centers, transport terminals, airports, public schools and universities, and healthcare facilities, and even public parks. Here in Qatar, around 6 or 7 years ago, when Qatar started to build extensively for the 2022 Asian Games, I was assigned in a project which is called the Downtown Doha project, which is a mega district composed of around 50 mega buildings, composed of civic buildings, government offices, hotels, schools, and various support structures in a district as big as probably Project 6 in Quezon City. So it is something which is huge. So the entire community was digged up, and under this district is the main hub of the Doha Metro. It is now operational. The Doha Metro project has the biggest hub, which is a station under this Doha Metro, Doha City. We call it now the Musharraf. If you search videos on the Musharraf City, Musharraf Downtown Project in Qatar, it is a city which is built on top of the metro hub. Okay, so this project is built totally on BIM. So during that time, so many BIM companies started here in Qatar, and many BIM professionals started their career diverting from, migrating from the CAD platform to the building information platform, which uses, basically here in Qatar, we use Revit as the software. So let's continue with the slides. We have proposed a timeline to be able to implement Revit, or to implement BIM in the Philippines, which composes of 3 stages. For the first stage, which will run for around 3 years, it would be best for us to start with preparing the building information models based on the built CAD drawings, what we have already. So it is like we're slowly injecting BIM into the built projects, so that also more professionals will be trained, more professionals will be able to use BIM confidently, so that they will be ready for the next phase, which is stage 2. Stage 2, we encourage the design companies, not just the construction companies, to use BIM already. We already know the benefits of it, so that, you know, from the earlier stage, we have more professionals who have been trained. Now, more and more professionals will get into BIM the design, and BIM in construction. For the last stage, this is where we go full blast for BIM. We can use all the technology that are available, and the technology that will be developed in the next coming years. We will be using construction sequencing, and we have the as-built BIM. We can use point cloud. We can use drones for buildings, and even 3D printing, and even modular construction for projects, even as small as a residential projects, as big as a mega development, and as small as a small residential project. So these are the possibilities for BIM in design and construction. So in this, the United Architects of the Philippines will play a vital role in training the professionals. There are now existing training centers. Mostly these are AutoCAD training centers back in the days who have embraced the BIM platform, and now they are offering training in various BIM softwares. So with UAP spearheading this, the chapters of the various districts of UAP can be able to disseminate the information and the trainings to each of the members, thereby being for us to be a country of composing of trained architects and engineers and are capable of working on BIM platforms. So those privately owned training centers can be licensed by the United Architects of the Philippines by giving them proper guidelines so that we will have a unified guideline in training the professionals, and thereby we'll have a unified approach in using BIM for design and construction projects. And with this also, it will help the professionals financially in buying the original software, because if, let's say, more than 50,000 of architects and engineers would be subscribing or buying the original software, we can bargain for a less price, and thereby we don't need to use, and of course we don't encourage the use of pirated software. Okay, in the training period, we can be able to negotiate with not just with Autodesk, but other BIM platforms as well. For your information, there are two widely used BIM softwares, which is the Autodesk Revit, and the other one is ArchiCAD. Although ArchiCAD is probably around 10 to 15% used by architects and engineers, still it is a good software that can be used in the creation of the building information model. So I've discussed professional license earlier. We'll just go to the next one. So the last part of my discussion is developing a national BIM strategy or standards for the Philippines. Of course, we will not create this from scratch. We'll be able to use the standards used by other countries who were ahead of us. We can use the guidelines set forth by the ISO and even from the UK. And we can bring in more brains so that we can prepare these standards. There are just so many BIM specialists who are Filipinos, who are everywhere around the world, and hopefully all of these minds can be together in preparation of this great endeavor. So apart from the initial training, we have to do continuous training. As learning never stops, we have to continue to innovate, and we have to continue to be able to master the softwares that we'll be using, so that we'll never be left behind, and we'll be at par with the world in terms of BIM. And another one is to be able to embed BIM in the architectural education. As far as I know, I was able to talk to several of our friends who are deans of their respective architectural schools there in the Philippines, and some of them are already using BIM, are already teaching BIM and BIM software in their curriculum, and that's good. That's a good trend to have now, and maybe we'll have to inject a bit more a bit more of BIM in each of the curriculums, and even in the engineering curriculums, this has to be injected so that when our graduates go from the school to the actual practice, they will be ready to embrace BIM and use BIM, and this is already in their mindset. So with that, thank you for listening, and thank you for giving me a chance to share my experiences, and I hope to share more in a little while in our question and answer portion. Thank you very much. I'll
Thank
give
you,
you back the
Aris.
floor now, Lawrence.
Thank you, Aris. Your intervention was very informative. Before we go to the next speaker, let me acknowledge our event partners that have helped us with pulling off this event. So special thanks to the POCB, which is the Philippine Overseas Construction Board, the Italian Chamber of Commerce, and also the German Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines. Together with our event partners, PlanRadar, Olacon, and our media partner, The Manila Times. So now to our next speaker, who is actually from Austria. Let me introduce him. There we go, Fabio. Fabio is PlanRadar's sales partner manager, building and nurturing relationships with a large and international network of sales partners. Fabio's diverse portfolio of experiences includes construction site management for Strabag, sales, marketing, HR, and business development roles. And his wide expertise supports our partners end-to-end in reaching new markets. That's what I read from his profile. I asked him a very important question at the beginning when we were not connected yet. I asked him, what is the difference between BIM and PlanRadar's software as a service? And he was able to give me a very good answer, and I hope you will enjoy his explanation here in this presentation. So welcome, Fabio.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you for IFCG for having us here. Greetings from Vienna. I hope you're all fine during these complicated times. And I'm happy that we can be connected this way. And maybe some future we will all meet around the table or at a real life event. Let's hope for that. So as Lawrence said, yes, I have a very diverse background from IT, from construction, from business development. And now in PlanRadar, these all come together because PlanRadar is an application that supports the construction industry, but is a top-notch IT system, which I want to explain shortly by explaining the question that Lawrence posted, what's the difference between BIM and software as a service? So we support BIM models, but BIM models basically are models that are not only based on 2 dimensions or 3 dimensions, but you have your plan from the real estate, including all the other segments of information, layered of information, and dimensions of informations. Any kind of input you want to add to that real estate regarding the electricity or whatever, you will all probably know much better than me. You will be able to do that. So it is kind of included in our application to be able to use that. But software as a service, so the SaaS model, means that you subscribe to this service that we offer. So in that way, you will receive all the updates that will always be included. So let's jump to the real presentation. I prepared one segment which includes a set of slides, and then I want to jump to show you how it's really done from a point of view from a construction manager or a facility manager, using the real life actually application and sharing my screen then from my mobile device. So now let's start with the slides I prepared. Here we go. I hope you can all see my screen now. Explaining, okay, now it should work, right? So this is kind of the introduction. So Planradar is for documentation, communication, and construction in real estate projects. And because of its flexibility, you can customize it to completely cover your processes. And I will also show you where and how this can be done. Let's focus on the situation, why there is a need. Because the situation is that in each construction project or facility management project, on every 10 square meters, you have at least 1 to 2 defects. And the more the complexity of the project grows, the more defects you will have, and the more you will benefit, as already mentioned, by digitalizing. Yes, why? Why is that so? Because the problem that comes from that situation is that you have a complex task with complex documentation, incomplete communication. You have a lot of different parties involved, stakeholders involved, timelines involved, methods involved, media involved. Some are using Excel lists. For example, let's say I'm a construction manager, and then I have my Excel list with the defects. My secretary maybe has a different list. The subcontractor, each one has a different list. We are all sharing plans. Maybe not everyone is with the current version of the plan. Everyone has different documents. Then I make a picture with the camera. It's stored somewhere. Then I communicate with email, the other one with the phone. So that leads to an inefficient process of solving that problem. And of course, that leads to additional costs. Yes. So that's why digitalization is so important, to make everything more efficient. And how we can support that is by offering a system that you can use on every device, mobile and stationary. You can use any operating system. You can work online and offline. When you are offline, you can work, and once you get offline again, everything will be synchronized with the original timestamp. Yes, it's cloud-based, so everyone always has the current data. Yes, and you can invite everyone, so everyone, all the information can be stored in one place. Yes, you have the possibility to work on a plan, upload all your blueprints, you can upload all your documents. There's a document management system behind that. You can work with BIM, you can connect it with the API to any other system you may have, as long as it is digital, no matter if it's hosted in a cloud or locally on your server. We, for your information, we are hosted on the Amazon Web Server as a per default. Therefore, as it is legally in Frankfurt, we have the highest privacy standards, and there is never the question of performance. So you can upload and download as many files and visuals and videos or photos or documents per second per user as you like. There's no restriction to the performance there. And of course, this allows you always to be up to date with all aspects of your project. Yes, and you will see, I will show you then, when using the mobile device, the onboarding takes less than 10 minutes, because everyone can zoom in and out of a photo or a picture. My father is over 80 and he can do it as well. So let's see this from an aspect of when you can use it. So throughout the whole life cycle of a real estate, whatever the real estate may be, you can use it throughout the whole life cycle. during planning, construction, and also in the facility management phase. And you can transfer the data to the next stakeholder easily, who is then able to look into, okay, what has happened here before? Maybe there was a warranty issue, which company was involved, which materials were involved in the construction process. That can be helpful in the facility management stage, right? So right now, to take a short look at our company status, we have more than 11,000 customers from mainly the construction industry, but also from facility management industry, but also from various other industries, because you can highly customize and individualize the whole solution. Now we are active in 49 countries with own offices and also with partners, and new registrations are above 11,000 per month. These are not the customers, but these are people invited by our customers, meaning that once you have a paid license, which you need for everyone who has to assign and create the task for anyone, then you can invite all your subcontractors for free, guaranteeing that they can also comment and include their information. So you have all the information without any hurdle in one system. Okay. So these are some key benefits that are pointed out. So as I mentioned, we are cloud-based, super easy to use. You will see that it's a very transparent business model. You will always know the price upfront of what it will cost, because you are able to invite all your subcontractors for free. As mentioned, you can work on all platforms, and it's super easy to onboard you. I will show you how you use it. These are some examples that should just demonstrate what a large use cases, what large kind of applications you have, no matter what the real estate is either is it the infrastructure project, which are clients, office buildings are built, resorts, they also use it in the hospitality industry, but there are plenty more because it's used also in companies that come from the oiling industry. It's really vast, the portfolio of applications in the industries, with a strong focus on construction and facility management. Online, you will be able to find a lot of material where media is writing about us, because we are the category leader in Europe, and we have it translated for I'm not sure how many, but so many languages, I cannot even count it. And if there is a need, if there's the proof of concept to translate the solution also to new languages, that's all possible, because we have all the resources in-house. That's a product developed by us here in Austria, and with our partners around the world, we have also the local support for you. So this is the part where I want to switch to the mobile presentation. I stop the sharing now, and I will share the screen from my mobile device now. Lawrence, can you enable that? Because I think, all right, great, that looks good. I hope you can all see my mobile device now. So as you see, that's just an iPad, but you can use any mobile device you like. I make the whole journey for you. I log in to the application. I choose my project, and if you saw for a moment there, it was synchronizing, but you can also say turn off the synchronizing and only use Wi-Fi, as you like, of course. Let's choose now a project, and let's choose a building, for example, and I want to go to this floor, but you can customize the sections also as you like. So as it is, you have a complex situation, a lot of parties involved, and a lot going on. For me, as mentioned before, digitalization, why is it so important? To reduce complexity, to make everything more efficient. So I'm interested maybe in just one thing where I have to give feedback, for example. Let's see. And from a complex situation, to reach a clear vision of what I need to do today is super easy. So, and I know, okay, here are my tasks maybe for today that I'm interested in. Let's see a ticket where it's already a lot going on. Let's use that one. And here you can see I have the mask where I have the data entry. Yes, all these fields for data collection can be customized completely. You can create your individual form where you collect the data you want. There's no limit or no restriction. You can see you have mandatory fields, you have free typing fields, date, time, whatever you may want. You can keep track of the GPS. You can make reminders for repeating actions, right? You can always cover your processes. That's what I want to say. And once you enter the information, you can also attach the photos. You can attach other documents, Excel sheets or PDFs, right? Where you can say, okay, these are those instructions. Of course, you can have your plans uploaded. There is a plan versioning also, which shows you the difference between the plans. You can here see exactly the plan annotation, what's going on. And you have all the chat regarding this being displayed here. You can directly communicate with your subcontractors through the application. Now, let's say we want to have to create a new ticket. I just have to push my finger there. I can direct it and I say, here is an issue. Now I can select the form that I want to use for the data entry, which I created. Yes, let's say we have FM inspection. So these fields here now are different than the ones before. You see below the GPS information, you can make a voice recording and everything. Let's use this, for example. Let's say this room is ready for use. We're using it for room number 2. Let's give it a title, and you will be able to use the Siri something something. All right, that's the title now. The status is open. Let's assign it to someone. You can just invite people by using their email. You can create groups. Of course, you have a complete role management there. But let's just make a case where I say I have an issue, I want to communicate it. I can put somebody in copy, and let's say there's a timeline, I want to have it done by tomorrow, and let's give it a high priority. Okay, and there are lots of fields. Let's say I want to choose from a list. Let's say this issue is because there's something malfunctioning. And here you can see I can also have a multi-selection going on. Of course, you can upload lists, whatever the content, whatever of your choosing, to make it fit your needs. You have the GPS location, so you can see where I am right now in Vienna. Let's say we want to add also something that I say. Here we go. That will also be connected here. And for you can also upload, for example, a video or a photo. Let's just do a photo for now. So I can show you how you can work with that and say, okay, there's something I don't like. Please change that immediately. And of course, I can also text something. Again, I can use Siri or just my other means by what I want to edit the picture. So that there are limitless ways of editing those pictures that I'm taking. And you can use to draw directly on the plan. You make a plan annotation here. And let's say, okay, that will be good. And I can resize it. And again, I can write directly here on the plan text that's 3.5 millimeters, whatever, right? So for me, it's super easy to do everything I like directly on the plan. And once I said that's ready, everyone now is on the same page. It's already synchronized, and everyone will be able to work on the same data right now. And let's say I want to, that's the last thing because I think I'm running out of time, but let's say I want to make a report. And let's say I want to use that filter because I can create my own filters, of course, right? instantly or pre-prepared. And let's say we want to have these tickets mentioned in that filter for the report, which I can also completely customize. Yes, I can use PDFs which are editable to collect for project reports. I can do it by ticket reporting. Let's use my my template that I created, because I have let's say a template for the subcontractor, a template for when there's something broken, a template for every issue. You can upload these templates, and as well as for the collection of the data, as well as for the reporting. Here are some connected documents for this floor, or I can connect also documents to a ticket. Let's see, but the report that I just created, and I said here I want to include a picture, a brief explanation of the project. Of course, all those fields are customizable again. This can have any different look than you like. Here's a text: dear ladies and gentlemen, the introduction, the document threads linked, this, and then I said I want to have a compact layout, everything all in one page, and therefore also the pictures and the notes. You can always choose what information you want to include. And let's say then you have the complete documentation for what otherwise you would need a lot of time doing the report. Also, if you have the data available, this report, just by selecting the template and the tickets you are interested in, is done in a minute. And now let's say I want to sign it, and I use the free signature thing, 1, 2, 3, okay, and let's say that's fine. Then I can share it with all my means that I want. I can also choose here, do I want to share it with the signature, with the annotations, or whatever way I like. I can share it by the usual means, and therefore now I did the complete thing in no time, and all the subcontractors can communicate on those tickets and say, okay, the status is now closed, or they can also add their pictures, right? And so you have, as mentioned, all the information right here all the time. And just briefly, because it was mentioned before, I want to show you, for example, also how the BIM versioning looks like. You can upload IFCG, IFC models and export them as BCF models. With the Open API, you can connect any other system you have, as long as it's digital. Here you can work on this plan and collect the information. You can also work directly on the IFC elements, right, on the buildings on the ground floor, and you will be able to have it also always in a list view, right? And I'm sure you will be much more able to work with the BIM models if you're already using it. We enable, or it's not to create a BIM model, that has to be said, but with an existing BIM model, you can easily upload it and export it again and always be up to date here as well. I think I'm done with the time. How are we, Lorenz?
Yes, your time is actually up. Very interesting, Fabio. I can see this can be used for handovers, maintenance, repairs. I think it is a lot time saving, I guess, for the companies that normally will run after their staff, contractors, and partners to get things fixed. Exactly. Thank you very much, Fabio. Would you like to tell everyone how people can actually get more information about PlanRadar?
Yes, either on our website or by contacting me directly, or if it's too complicated, they can contact you and you will create the connection.
Okay, you can contact ICFG through our website or email address or Facebook, and we will put you in touch with PlanRadar, with Fabio, if you want to know more.
It will be my pleasure, and I will answer all the questions. And just a last statement, because you mentioned the time savings per user per week in average. Our clients with the newest survey, they save between 5 and 7 hours per week per user. It's nearly half a day per user. So for a site manager, cost in relation to that, that can mean up to 900% return on investment.
Wow, great savings. Thank you very much, Fabio. So we are at our next speaker, who actually has experience of using softwares during the planning. Let me introduce Mr. Architect Romolo Nati. He is an Italian architect and businessman, currently Executive Chairman and CEO of IDC, Italpinas Development Corporation, a publicly listed Italian-Filipino real estate development company specialized in designing and developing sustainable buildings in emerging cities of the Philippines. He is a thought leader for green living and sustainable development in the Philippines and has been invited as keynote speaker at numerous conferences. Furthermore, Architect Nati was featured in National Geographic magazine Asia as one of the Philippines' new business leaders and in Bloomberg Philippines as a thought leader. The company's projects have been awarded as Best Mixed-Use Development by the International Property Awards Asia Pacific and have been certified as Excellence in Design for Greater Efficiencies, also called EDGE. Romolo, welcome.
Hi, Lawrence. Thank you for inviting me. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start right away sharing my screen so that I can go into action and show what we are doing with the company I chair. Okay. You should now see my screen. Okay, so just a brief introduction about IDC, Italpinas Development Corporation, a corporation that is focusing on developing green buildings, taking advantage of mainly passive green design strategies in emerging locations in the Philippines, and we are member of the Philippine Green Building Council and the US Green Building Council. And as you mentioned, our buildings are rated green by IFC, by EDGE, which is a green system developed by IFC. We have been able to get several awards since 2009. And my partner and I, Giorgio Leviste, and myself, as you mentioned, we have been featured also in National Geographic for our innovation in real estate. Just a brief introduction about myself. As you said, I am an architect. I study in Italy. I work in Estonia, where I also got a master there, and also in AIM. I did an MBA, EMBA. My partner, Giorgio Leviste, a Filipino who studied in the Philippines, in the US and in Australia, is a lawyer. And together we run the company. So just a quick view about the unique value propositions, because as you mentioned, there is we utilize massively softwares to be able to deliver our propositions, mainly the passive green design strategies, which is the portion where I'm going to spend my time today. For the audience, maybe the people that are not so into real estate green design and development, just a few words about what does that mean, what's the meaning of passive green design. In short, what we do, we take advantage of the climate where the buildings will be built in order to drastically reduce consumption of power and water consumption. How do we do that? Mainly we integrated data. So we gather data from the place, data such as sun path, temperature, wind speed, wind direction, and things like that. We integrated this data using software, several software that we do not develop is off the shelf. We buy this software. Of course, we learn how to use them. We come up with a 3D model which represents the best solution given the requirements that the designer have been given to the software. Here there is a slide that maybe can show better what I am talking about. This is a project we were designing in Cagayan de Oro, where actually it's now under construction. On the upper left side, we can see the analysis of the wind direction. Here we have temperature during the year, and here we have sun path in that particular place, and the ventilation inside the building. Just to go a little more in deep, this is a video that shows some of the softwares that we use. I wouldn't like to mention on the software because I wouldn't like to do any advertising or promotion. But in short, with this software, we are a parametric software. We are able to find the best location of the building so that we can increase natural lights and decrease the shadow of every building to the closer building. In this way, with the software, we are able to analyze the behavior of buildings when the wind is very strong or when the wind is not so strong, so that we want to increase the natural ventilation inside the building. So this is a simulation. The last video shows that since we want to increase natural light, we need to protect the indoor spaces from the house green effect. So with this software, we are able to compute number of louvers or edges or cantilever structure in such a way that we have shading on the facade. Inside, we have indirect light. Let me show you now the projects that we are doing and we did. The first project is Primavera Residences in Cagayan de Oro. This building was awarded as the best mixed-use building in 2014, if I'm not wrong, in Singapore by International Property Award. Is a rated green by Edge. Also in Cagayan, we have now under construction Primavera City, same location, much bigger project, still a green buildings. And in Luzon, we have a new project. Also, this is under construction located in Santo Tomas, Batangas, just 45 minutes driving from Makati. Just to give you some, to show some actual photos. This is the building. As you notice, all these cantilever structure are there for a purpose, which is again reducing avoid the sun. It's the glasses, the windows on the hottest hour of the day, so that as you can notice here in this scheme, in this sketch, the sun cannot hit the window, so inside the temperature is maintained lower. Plus, every unit has a cross ventilation, so that unit owners occupants can open the window and always have this fresh air, which is increased because we have an inner courtyard that works as an inner chimney, so the colder air is sucked from the bottom and it goes up and it sucks more air. So this is a natural process, which of course has to be designed. That's the reason why we use software in order to utilize less high technological features in the building, so that the buildings, the units can be accessible in terms of price, because our idea is really the democratization of green buildings. And so far, I have to say, my partner and I are quite successful in the Philippines together, and thanks to, of course, client partners and all stakeholders. these are some photos, actual photos that can show the building, how it looks like. We also install in our buildings photovoltaic panels so that we can produce a certain amount of energy, renewable energy, that is given to the condominium corporation for a lower price, so that compared to the utilities in the place, so that they can save money for their condo use. So it's very important that the target is to deliver a beautiful, modern building, well-designed buildings, green, that are capable to let the unit owners save on their power bill and water bill. Water, because we have water recycling, we have water harvesting, and power, because again, they use, for example, in Primavera Residences, we computed that the use of aircon is reduced for around 32%, compared to a similar buildings without the passive green features that are embedded in the building, in the design of the building. So the construction of the building, our buildings at the end is very similar to conventional buildings. It's just the design itself that makes these buildings better performing, I would say. The other project is Primavera City, still in Cagayan de Oro. In this case, the project is much bigger, is developing already, under development in different phases. And I have a video that shows very well the process of the design process, which is a performance-based design, we call the process, because the design is the effect of the performance of the building. So that's also why some people ask why your buildings look different. We say because they perform differently. So please watch the video. Okay, the last project that I present today is Miramonti, green residences located in Santo Tomas, Batangas, in the island of Luzon. Also in this case, I have a video that shows the design process and the green features. Okay, before I give the floor back to Lawrence, I just would like to say that in Italpinas we created a very nice environment where Italian designer works very close with Filipino designer, architect, engineers, and with this synergy, we think created it give us the opportunity to create very interesting projects, and we learn from each other, and that's a very nice experience. And I really think that software can help to optimize every stage of the process. From the very early stage to the end of the construction, as also Fabio showed in the real estate management scenario, which is actually very complicated, and we are in real estate. So I would like to thank you, Lawrence, to have invited me, because as I said, a promoter of software in the industry. So thank you very much, and I am here if there would be any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Romulo. It was very interesting how you, with the use of data and software, how you plan your buildings. Before we go to the next speaker, let me read a message of our dear Azel from the POCB. Who is the authority of the Philippines, is an authority of the Philippines, an attached agency of the Department of Trade and Industry, who develops and promotes the corporate export of construction and related engineering services, including architecture and design. We also connect Filipino companies to companies overseas. She's saying, please get in touch with us at pocb@construction.gov.ph. Thank you, Azel, for this. POCB is a very precious agency that helps Filipino companies offer their services abroad. Now, let's go to our next speaker, an old friend, and let me see how I can lose him in. I can, where is he?
Yeah,
here we go. Sylvester, how are you?
Excellent, excellent. Grazie mille. Thank you very much.
Okay, let me say a few words about you. Sylvester Wong is the veteran, is first of all, the Vice President Cities for AECOM. He's a veteran of multidisciplinary urban and regional planning practice across Asia Pacific, South Asia, and the Middle East. His focus is on development of sustainable townships, resilient economies, future mobility, digital infrastructure, and integrated infrastructure toward community, regional, and nation building. He serves, as I said, as the Vice President for Cities of AECOM, and AECOM is the world's premier infrastructure consulting firm, partnering with clients to solve the world's most complex challenges and build legacies for generations to come. So the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Lawrence. That's a tall order there. I think it's one of those honors that we have to work with so many great developers and software groups and local architects to achieve that vision. Hey, look, I've only been here for about 5 years now, living in Manila since moving here from San Francisco and Hong Kong. But you know, I feel that this country is in my blood. And let me show you. I'm going to share with you a little bit about why I see this is the place to be when it comes to harnessing technology and kind of almost leapfrogging what a lot of these other cities and nations have to deal with. You know, I'm very inspired by the 4 other talks, on 4 other talks, 5. sorry, four other talks that we just heard, looking at tools, looking at projects, looking at national plans to bring things together. And you know, I'll go through this really, really quickly because Lawrence didn't get a chance to check my slides, and I always end up with like over 100 slides for 15 minutes. But I'll tell you this. You know what I dream about every night? It's not unicorns. I know the title says unicorns. It's you know, whatever. But anyway, sometimes I do think about startups. I think about, okay, I'm helping out in this big company with lots of people in different countries, but you know, the real stars of the show in cities, in communities all over the world are the everyday entrepreneurs, the small and medium businesses that drive the economies of the world. And when we talk about digital tools for buildings or master plans or for anything that we're doing in the built environment, that's just it. It's their tools, right? They're means to an end. And the end, those outcomes are some of the most important things to focus on. It's understanding that those digital tools are all about the data that's inside, that's enabled. And then the secret sauce is, what do you do with that data and the insights? So bear with me. I hope my data infrastructure is going to hold up and it can keep up, because I'm sitting here in Makati right now and hoping that the bandwidth holds up. But you know, I've got 200 other professionals here at AECOM in the Philippines. We have total 700 people because we have our global back office here. Data and connectivity is the key, right? We're big investors in this place, and you know, we're doing things that you might recognize: the Metro Manila subway, a lot of the big buildings around town, even this guy, right? I think you might know that we're the concept designer of the new Philippine Senate building. And all of these things are enabled because we're harnessing digital tools. Digital systems create possibilities. Let me share you a couple of these things that were happening around the world and give you a glimpse, and we can talk about it a little bit later, right? For example, it's not just about drawings and cool 3D things that's enabled by BIM. BIM allows us, here's an example, in Singapore, right? It's a complex cogeneration water treatment plant, all right? One of the most complex things that you can do. And we could only do it by having the right BIM models all the way through the process, right? When you're able to work through, this is life safety stuff. This is making sure that the electrical systems work and the wastewater works, and we're creating great potable water, but then we're harnessing energy at the same time. Look at this. This is under construction. We're able to overlay some of those BIM models to check. And so it's not just during the design process, is during the construction process that you're able to save on a lot of the errors we were hearing about before, right? And sometimes it's a manual process and so forth, but you can kind of notice that a lot of this is constructed with drone-enabled LiDAR type videos that create a 3D. It's amazing. It's not just for huge, big projects though. Here's something we did in Hong Kong, which was just looking at the conversion of old heritage buildings along some of the great shop houses in the old Hong Kong streets. And this is where we looked at not just about design and project management using BIM, that's item 1 there, but all through the process, multiple phases, stakeholder engagement, dashboards for facility management. And that facility management, the life cycle of the whole building, being able to see it on a dashboard, on a digital twin, is, I think that's where we can really unlock things. Yes, it's about saving efficiency, it's about saving time, but it's also unlocking value for the actual users of the project. I'm flipping through these very fast, and we can always go back if you want to find out a little bit more. But you know, it's a bit of a visual treat, I think. Also looking at, you know, tools on your mobile so that you can, especially in this day of post-COVID, be able to keep track of your projects from a remote area. And so many projects are multidisciplinary now, where you have to deal with all the structures and the design and the mechanical systems, right? And we're dealing with street infrastructure at the same time. All this bit, you know, we're using all sorts of platforms, and these platforms will change all the time. I'm no subscriber to any one particular software platform because they do change. But the ability to talk between them and maybe even program your own APIs to exchange data in a secure, privacy-enabled way, allows for a whole dashboard across multiple projects. And that's what we're helping with the Urban Redevelopment Authority there, to help people see many assets at once and get a dashboard to say, well, what's working, what's underperforming, where can we focus? And we won a big award for this, which is fantastic. I'm really proud of the team in Hong Kong for being selected for the 2019 Autodesk AEC Excellence Award for small projects. But okay, those are just cool, fun tools, right? What I want to focus on today is about why are we doing it? What's the purpose? We are driven by broader outcomes. And look at where we are today. We're in the middle of a big competition. We're in a competition for survival. There's cities all over the whole region who are competing for investment, and the kind of locators who are going to occupy our buildings. And threats are everywhere, right? There's threats from nature, resilience threats, flooding, extreme weather, earthquakes, etc. And there are threats from people. And I don't mean just, civil disturbance type stuff. I'm talking about economic change, robotics, artificial intelligence. Yet we here in Southeast Asia are the demographic future. And zooming in to where we are, 100 million people with, the same GDP as all of Hong Kong, strangely enough. That's whole country. But smartphone penetration super high, super young, top Facebook users in the world. It means that we have such a responsibility to make sure that our footprint on the future is sustainable. And this is a big piece of what drives our purpose, right? All these cool digital tools, what are we trying to do? We're trying to deliver sustainable legacies. This just came out, and if you look at some of my LinkedIn posts and so forth, you can find it. But essentially it says we have to change now. AECOM has signed up for the climate pledge. We have our science-based targets. We're aiming to bring the temperature change to under 2 degrees, hopefully 1.5 degrees. And as a fragile world, we have to do it now. Our strategy is fourfold for AECOM, projects all over the world. And we want to share that with everybody. This ESG strategy is about embedding sustainable development and resilience across all of our work. And we have to digitize everything, because you can only know how well you're doing by measuring it. The second is improving social outcomes. There's societies, socioeconomic injustice all over the world, here in the Philippines, overseas, in our home country of the US, where the built environment has to do more than just look good and function well, but it has to create a platform for everyone to succeed. The third is achieve net zero carbon emissions. Carbon is an important measure, and everything that we do, all of our industries, the concrete that we use has so much embodied carbon. You see, we have a lot of new timber projects going up, bigger scale, because that can cut the embodied carbon emissions of these buildings by 50%. And then finally, enhance governance, because by truly making sure we're operating ethically with inclusivity and diversity, and then with the greatest standards of fairness and transparency, that's how we're going to achieve a lot of these things. We have a digital system called Scope X, right? And we're going to roll it out. And I think a lot of different groups, use all sorts of digital tools. It's not rocket science. It's basically saying we're going to hold ourselves accountable to the design that we do. Our commitments are that every designer is going to know how to calculate the carbon footprint across all of AECOM, every single designer. That's a commitment we've made. And by 2 years from now, on every single project, you ask any of our designers, they will be able to tell you what is the carbon footprint of each project. That's how committed we are. And again, it goes back to digital tools, because digital tools are the ways that we can measure the outcomes. I'm just flipping through very quickly the various types of projects all over the world where we're doing green and sustainable buildings. We're improving social outcomes. Look at this accessible community engagement tool for a time when we're COVID, we can't do normal engagement. All these pieces is not just the design process and the management process, where digital tools can help us be better for our communities. Mobility, right? Land use is not just about what we build, but how we get there. 30% of all emissions that come from a built environment come from the transportation coming back and forth. So I think when you put all this together and try to achieve these net zero carbon emissions with modeling and then figuring out the source of your energy and if it's clean, pulling it across entire portfolios of buildings and infrastructure like rail infrastructure, and then even things like rewilding, bringing nature back. All this is achievable because we're harnessing digital technologies to measure and plan and move forward. That's how we get to things like hydrogen and alternative new fuels. So the key messages for this sustainability legacies that we want to create and why it's important in a digital tools conversation is because all of these things need to be measured. All of these things, as we design, need to be calculated. So BIM is not just about clash prevention. It's not just about kicking out really great procurement processes for your subconsultants and your contractors. Modeling tools just scratch the surface. I love Romulo's videos. I've seen them. I've seen the buildings before because they remind me a lot of a lot of the great work that's being done around the world. And hats off to Jojo and Romulo for really leading the charge here in the Philippines. And we're talking about repurposing old buildings. We're talking about using really smart skins and structural systems to reduce the amount of materials used to get higher performance. And then we're measuring it, right? We're finding actually that the energy savings and the the kind of tax benefits you get in the blue and the green. Wow, here's something. They add up to a very small percentage of the savings you get as a building owner for many of these healthier ways that we're designing buildings. In this exercise, which is a bit theoretical, but we found that the majority, look at those numbers, 3, 8, and then $40 million a year in this theoretical exercise saved in productivity. No more sick days, fewer absences, less turnover for the tenants. Those kind of soft costs are so important to measure because that's the true value of what we're creating. It's not just 10 or 20% savings in energy, but it's 10 times, 20 times percent value creation. So these digital tools, yeah, I mean, I'll show you a couple of cool things that we've built using, and communicated these sustainable ideas. When we're doing master planning, we're able to use these digital tools to, show examples of, different phases, different systems overlapping, different alternatives, early phase of an airport, later phase of an airport, things like that. We can overlay operational systems, right? We're looking at Subic Bay here and looking at the anchorages and the airport landing and all that kind of stuff. We use these topographic tools to figure out landslides and slope analysis and understanding of land. We use scalable tools to understand portfolios like Rosetta. Rosetta is a cool tool that lets us do an energy master plan for our buildings. And then you put them next to each other. There's something around the buildings themselves, and then facility planning, and then capital planning, and they all feed into each other. We're harnessing GIS in a really cool way. San Francisco Bay Area, coming out of the pandemic, the transit systems are struggling because they don't have all the same kind of ridership as before. Well, through a modeling system and our Mobilytics platform, we're projecting out how is life changing with automated vehicles, with rideshare, and how's that changing and making sure that we have enough seamless stitching of different transit system to create value where people actually live. San Francisco is great because that's where I was born. It's close to heart, and I cringe with cities all over the world seeing this inundation of sea level rise, and those kind of data mapping are going to be super important for every building that this audience is working on, because we don't want to have stranded assets that are sitting in the middle of flood zones. And the way that we do this is not just looking at and mapping and working out the terrain and modeling the climate possibilities, but we're looking at it from a triple bottom line perspective. That means calculating not just the costs and the impacts and the value of environmental, but also social and economic factors. And that ends up informing the kinds of infrastructure, kind of projects that we want to put. Here's some of the proposals for San Francisco to help prevent some of those sea level rise issues. We've been doing it in Hong Kong. You know, Hong Kong, I think 4 out of 8 million people in Hong Kong are actually living on the land that over the past 40 to 50 years, AECOM has master planned and delivered. It's an incredible story arc. And now we're helping after that big storm, Mangkhut, right? That came through. I joke with my Hong Kong colleagues all the time. I'm like, you think that was bad? That's every typhoon here in the Philippines. And they're like, oh, but you know, it was a lot of damage, and it really woke them up to say, all right, we got to get some resilience in place. And that's where we're doing a lot of these assessments and the modeling, and it's like the climate modeling for a single building, but over across entire city. And what do you do when you figure out where are the most exposed areas? This is where really cool technology comes in. We're creating 3D printed affordable coastal environmental protection with a special polymer type, which is, you know, friendlier to the reef environment, pH balanced, and then creates ability for microorganisms to anchor better, and then form a natural coastline that is also a surge protection for the Hong Kong coast. It's really cool stuff. So yeah, I'm almost done. You know, this is a long arc saying digital tools are cool, but we got a bigger purpose about contributing back to our communities on our earth. And the value of the buildings then are really embodied in the communities that they nurture, right? The 300 people who come to your building and live there or work there, or the master plan community of 1,000 people. When you're able to bring them together, they form a community, and they're forming new businesses or new friendships, or you know, all sorts of things. Then that's where the real value of what we're creating is. So you know, we harness things like Waze data. Here's a snapshot of stuff we did in Poblacion. And then we create communities, right? It's not just about doing factories anymore. It's about doing places that attract people, because people are the ones who create the economic drivers of the future. And as we've been doing more with BCDA across the country with their portfolio, that's the drive. You get resilience through competitiveness. You get that through attracting people to create the future. So digital tools are a success when those end users are a success. You're creating an ecosystem of SMEs, and you're engaging the stakeholders through all sorts of digital methods as well. And you're making sure that all the government, the public sector, the NGOs, IP, you know, folks who are disenfranchised. And sometimes technology is a great way to let people who aren't in our industry to understand the complexities of the built environment, to see using VR, or see using, you know, our visualization techniques, what we have in mind, what they have in mind, and how we can bring that all together into something. There's some cool other things in this. I'm going to skip forward a bit. We got some, you know, you can see the timeline of construction, for example, or, you know, we're measuring, we're getting data from sewage systems about COVID trace markers, so that we can identify places. We're integrating mobile apps and you know, waiting and queuing systems into transit systems. So, and you can think of that doing it in buildings, in bus terminals, and airports, and all sorts of buildings where you have people moving through and integrating personal technology into making the buildings perform better. So why did I start this whole thing about unicorns, right? I mean, you know what unicorns are. These are billion-dollar companies. And I think back to this, you know, one of my favorite seminal movies, which I hope some of you have figured it out from this movie still, which was done by Ridley Scott in 1982, set last year. 2020 was the setting of the movie of Blade Runner. And you know that Blade Runner was based on the book by Philip Dick, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Well, I just wrote something as part of our Digital Cities paper that we've just released last week. Why do we need to dream of electric unicorns? Unicorns are sort of the big, you know, it's big success because because startup has gone from nothing to $1 billion company. Well, there's lots more $1 billion companies just, you know, waiting to be discovered. And in that paper, I draw this little diagram that really focuses in on economies. And at the end of the day, all these digital tools, the sustainability and so forth is driving toward competitiveness, so that our cities are not just surviving COVID, they are thriving in the future. You know, here's a quick snapshot of, let's say this is the GDP of a city in yellow today, with some key pillars of the economy, let's say shipping or technology or travel and so forth. And what I'm saying, what we're all discovering is that digital tools allow a city to grow existing sectors, to innovate with new sectors, all these new software providers, right? I think we saw some of the some cool startups just now about, and that's what's growing in between these sectors. And you see that the whole city elevating then to much bigger GDP potential. That's where this orange piece in the middle, this digital city, the platforms, the data, well protected, well governed, becomes an enabler for the community to create innovative futures, right? So we're driven by these broader outcomes. These modeling tools just scratch the surface. The value of what we're creating as a design and builder and software and developer community are about the communities we bring together. And then when they create value, we've created value. At the end of the day, all these digital tools, it's about one key thing, right? And I think we all share this very much. That one key thing comes down to people. Thank you very much. I will breathe now.
Thank you, Sylvester. That was very inspiring. I think you just gave me an idea that we need to do an event about the new Philippine energy efficiency law, which actually is being enacted now, this April, correct? And actually touches most of the bigger buildings, and that will be worth a new round of discussions. So now let's discuss further in our Q&A session, which will be moderated by our architect Ramon Abiera. Let's see how we can arrange a different view. Okay, Ramon, are you there? Where is our Ramon?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. So I'll leave.
Who will be the first one? Can I just choose anybody?
First of all, I'll add you here to the mainframe, and you can start with whoever you want. I think you have prepared some questions for everyone.
Yes,
so I leave the floor to you.
Thank you. I think my first question would be for IDC, for Architect Nati. What benefits can you attribute to your company's digital transformation? And the second one will be, can you identify challenges and gaps in the adoption of your digital transformation rollout, and how can you overcome them?
Okay, thank you, Architect. I mean, since the very beginning of our venture with Little Peanuts, we were trying to break stereotypes in the real estate scenario in the Philippines. My partner Jojo Leviste and myself don't come from a landed family or contractors or developers. I am an architect, he's a lawyer, but we share the same vision of trying to develop beautiful, modern, green buildings, but affordable. And the only way to do that, I mean, one of the way to do that in terms of the design part, construction part, it was and is the utilization of softwares, no? So to be frank, we didn't I don't know how to say, we didn't care too much about what others were doing. We brought our experience. I mean, my experience from Italy, Europe, and I work quite a lot in Eastern Europe for developers. And we understood that the only way to be able to implement our vision was using software, because we like to say more software, less hardware. Means that you know, many times when we talk about green buildings, the first question is how much it costs, where this material come from, where do you buy your you purchase your features, your items, and we try to switch, you know, from this perception of sustainability. We think I may say something a little, it sounds a little crazy, but we think that the future is going to be low tech for the user, no high tech. Not too many people can afford very expensive green buildings, but many people can afford not expensive green buildings. So I think that software can help us again to reduce construction costs, to optimize construction, and so to deliver a better product to the end users. No? And when I talk about the end user, I talk about the bulk of the end users. No, I'm not talking about the top maybe 5% of the market. I'm talking about the 50-60% of the market. No? So that's I think what we brought into the real estate scenario in the Philippines. Again, we are we think we compete with the big guys, but in reality we are very small compared to them. But I think that I mean, thanks to the knowledge of use, to the know-how, we can compete with the big ones, you know. So I think software is really, sometimes can really be a magic stick in some way if you know how to use it. Even in the hands of I mean, two guys like myself and my partner, of course, and we grow the company, etc., etc. Sorry, the second question was sorry.
The second question is, can you identify challenges and gaps in the adoption of your digital transformation rollout, and how were you able to overcome them, if ever?
You know, challenges is more about finding, we talk about the design and construction, okay? Because in real estate development company, we have a lot of different departments. Sometimes it looks like we are an accounting firm, sometimes look at a legal firm, sometimes, you know, but we are, so this is a development company. But talking about design, I think it's, the challenge is to find young guys that are interested, young architects, Filipino architects, Filipino engineers that are interested they are, first of all, they are well prepared, and they are interested to learn more. And that's not easy, because again, I assume that the smartest guy try to go to the biggest company. So for us, in order to gather smart people and motivated people, we need to come up with new ideas, and we need to make ourselves visible, even if we are small. So the challenge is really mainly, I would say, maybe people. In terms of, I mean, softwares, in terms of, I mean, hardware, software, I mean, it's not really an issue. Anyone now can afford that. I think that the real digital revolution of our era is that, I mean, it's available to everyone. So anyone can use it. It depends how. So, I mean, challenges is not too much in the design side or the construction side. Challenge, if I may say, and then I stopped, was more about convincing at the very beginning of this venture, myself and my partner, convincing investors, banks to believe in this idea of developing green, affordable buildings in, for example, Mindanao. where 10 years ago in Mindanao, there were no condominiums at all, you know what I mean? So proposing 12 years ago to design and build green buildings in Cagayan de Oro was a little, this was a big challenge. I mean, really to change the idea of investors. Now it's not longer like that. I mean, now the going to the provinces and develop buildings is mainstream. I don't know if I've been able to answer your question.
Thank you, Nati, Architect Nati. I agree with you because in the forward that I have mentioned, actually it's the change of mindset, and one of the mindsets that need to change, which is the primary one, would be the developer, because you being the developer, if you had a good mindset regarding digital and green, then you can, and at the same time you are the designers of this one, it will be very easy and smooth for the transition. There will be no much obstacle except that the cost need to be kind of lowered so that it will be more affordable. Thank you very much again, and I'm happy that your projects are very successful in the Philippines. Maybe we can have some collaborations in the future.
That would be great. Thank you, Architect. That would be great.
Yeah, thank you. The next question will be for Plan Radar, for Fabio.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Yes, have you identified any challenges or gaps in the adoption of your, in your particular area of Plan Radar for the adoption of its transformation rollout? And the second one, which is just related, is what strategies are you taking to address these challenges and gaps to accelerate adoption into the country?
Okay, that's a good question. So basically, I want to focus more or less on our client's perspective, because that's exactly where we come into game. We help our clients to overcome these gaps. Even now during Corona, we see that people are taking the time to think, okay, how can I work remotely? How can I work more efficiently? And especially in the construction industry, it was for quite the last years, everybody was talking about digitalization, and now we see it's really happening across the countries, because it's one of the industries that is most behind in digitalization, and now is adapting, and now the laws come out, and now they are teaching it how to use BIM models. So we are actually helping our clients to overcome those gaps. And what we see very often is the task what you want to reach to manage the project. That's clear. Everyone and everywhere is you build with more or less the same technologies, right? But how you process this is so people think they want to do the same steps with new tools. Like, for example, let's say that's a new technology. Before there was the horse, now there is the car. And they want to make the horse faster. They still want to use the Excel lists, because how can I share the Excel list better? You have to, what was addressed before by the other speakers, to address the mindset of the people. You don't want to use Excel lists anymore. You don't want to use the email anymore. You don't want to type a SMS anymore. You have all the information in one place. Use this new technology. Because what means this, the adaptation of the new technology, is also you change your processes to be more efficient. You have still the target to build this real estate, but with this new tool being introduced, it's like a reorganization of the company, and this is one step people have to process also. Not just, but where can I print it out? How can I do this with your, no, you don't need to print it out anymore. You have everything documented digitally. So this is one thing what we see, that our consulting is part of our service to help the client understand how they can reorganize the processes to be more efficient and therefore more green and more sustainable. Because one day when a real estate construction has to stop, so many things are involved, so many subcontractors, and so much when you save in real estate, that's always energy involved, cost involved, people involved. When you save 3% on a tunnel project, that's huge. That means a lot of carbon emission minus. And when you can use then this data to run it more efficiently, that's where the circle closes. But again, I think that the challenge is to make people realize, okay, this is a new tool. When you use it, you don't need to parallel use the other tools also still. When you have a car, you don't ride to your work with the car and with your horse. You just use the car or the bicycle or the e-bike or whatever, right? You adopt the new methodology and the new tools, and not do everything in parallel. And so that's I think a challenge that we see with our clients, and where we can help a lot. Sorry, I don't hear you. I hope this was answering your question.
Okay. Thank you. I totally agree with you. This pandemic, for example, provided actually opportunities for Plan Radar, because communicating in fields are now being done either off-site. And I think, one of the important things about this communication is it's able to deliver the right information to the clients quicker for their decision. This is a major component of this, wherein in many cases, the clients or the proponents are the last one to get the information. So their decisions are often delayed or perhaps sometimes flawed because they don't got the right information. So I think embracing new technologies, one of the things that I thought is that technologies as described by architect Wong, Sylvester, is actually a tool that has to be utilized. You don't need to invent other tools. Other people are inventing the tools. It's just that we need to embrace what is available to improve our efficiency.
Yes.
And I think that is where this Plan Radar can be very effective. Thank you very much, Fabio. And my next question would be
Thanks again.
for AECOM. Architect Sylvester, are you there? AECOM?
Hi, yes, great.
Yeah.
Super.
I don't know if you remember, but we've met several times before in affairs.
Yes.
Anyway, my question for you, sir, is for a large entity such as your company, they're doing most of their projects worldwide. And can you provide, and today I learned that your company is actually developing new technologies yourself. So my question was supposed to be, how do you, can you provide us the experience of your digital transformation of your company? Because I'm sure you did not start today, but you started way before. And the second one will be, how do you see the medium and small entities adopting digital transformation to improve their chances of getting projects?
Thanks. Great questions. Great questions. So, AECOM, AECOM's a pretty big company.
Yeah.
It grew out of many small companies coming together. And I think the road to digital transformation has been, well, I'll be very honest, it's been complex.
Mhm.
And it's taken much time because at the heart are different cultures, and I don't just mean nations cultures, I mean cultures of the way of working. And I think we can all relate that big firms and small firms, firms working for public sector, firms working for private sector, they have, everyone brings a different mindset. So the tools, we've tried a lot of tools, and we don't like developing our own. Actually, we do like partnering with people because there are smarter folks really focused on developing software all over. And if we can help just integrate an ecosystem where we're tapping what people are doing best, that's great. And then I guess it leads to the second part of the question, which is about the small and medium enterprises, because many of us at AECOM feel we've come from small and medium enterprises. I started a small firm before joining AECOM, and I think that entrepreneurial spirit is what drives innovation in all contexts. So we love partnering with small and medium enterprises, and as was said before by Fabio and Romolo, that the software is the great equalizer. It empowers people to punch above their weight, as it were. And that's what every community needs. I mean, the community of 100 million people across 7,000 islands here, not one group or 10 groups or even 100 groups can solve all the problems. It's about sharing ideas, and technology is a way. The digital transformation, I think, is less about the coolest tools, but about communication, about allowing a fantastic, seamless, put everything on the wall so that we can all continually improve it. Whether you're working in the company or you're a client or you're a contractor or a sub-consultant, everyone plays a role. So I think that's the continued path of digital transformation. We hope that it empowers everyday communities to thrive.
Thank you. Actually, one of the good things that you mentioned a while ago was that putting the community and the people in uh, the real objective of all of our undertakings in the A&EC business. So it's not only the how beautiful it is, but how it is being appreciated and how it is functioning properly for the particular use of our communities, either in resiliency or in sustainability of our society. Well, because maybe AECOM is a very holistic company coming from a super big entity. Every singular item, you have probably a specialist. You probably have a specialist for almost everything, and this gives you a pretty good edge. So thank you, and it's also good to note that AECOM came from groups of small entities that found themselves tying knot and getting wedded. Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you,
Architect Wong.
Architect.
My other question now will be for Architect Aris Basa for BIM. Have you identified challenges and gaps in the adoption of BIM digital transformation rollout? That's the first one. And the second one is what hardware, software, and skills training is strategic to address the challenges and gaps to accelerate the transformation to BIM?
Hi guys, thanks Architect Ray for that for those questions. For the gaps in the transformation, there are so many gaps. There's so many loopholes that we need to be able to fill to get everyone in the same mindset as the keyword that you have mentioned early on. No? But eventually, if we can get a mandate a mandate from the organization. From the government might take longer time because, as we know, we need so much time to for laws and for laws to be finalized there in the Philippines. But if it's something that comes from the organization from the UAP, I think it will bridge the gap quickly, and in bringing this technology to all of our architects, small and medium in particular. As we all know, the big companies, the big guys are already doing this. We need to bring this to the medium size and to the small size companies, so that um, the end result, most of the clients, which is the paying the the developers, or even the owners of buildings who would like to start their businesses, would be using BIM immediately. So on the second question, for the software, as we have based on research and based on the um, on the number of users that we have reached so far back there in the Philippines, most are really working on Revit for BIM. So the other softwares that are related to Revit are Navisworks, specifically for quantities, takeoff, and in construction, where we need those to speed up our coordination works and and scheduling, and among others. So those softwares needs proper endorsement, so that a good training program can be rolled out for architects and engineers alike, and even students. I am very specific on students, because as we know, the students are the future professionals, and if we inject this BIM serum to them at this early stage, they will be able to have this mindset ready for the digital design and construction. I hope those answered the questions.
Thank you very much, Aris. Actually, just to discuss some of the points that you mentioned, in the Philippines, although there are big projects that here, the majority and the bulk of the projects that are happening are those that are small scale and medium scale. And I think they are the groups that are actually facing challenges and gaps to be able to roll out and embrace technology, especially those that are in different areas of the Philippines. BIM is very significant for the Philippines because from a recent discussion with PRC, there are very few architects in the Philippines who are actually business owners of their own companies. Majority of the architects are either employed by other companies. And so, although they are small, some are small and individual architects, I think they have also the need to be able to train and understand BIM so that they can have a better employability in the case of if they were working with other companies. As you know, in the Philippines, the challenges for small companies to participate using BIM is very small, but because of networking and also collaborative practice nowadays, even small companies without much capacity can actually collaborate with companies that are bigger, and so that they can have more output similar to the big ones. So thank you very much,
Ramon.
Lawrence.
Yes, thank you very much for the Q&A. We are actually at the end of our event. I think I will switch to gallery view for also our attendance. I would like to thank everyone, starting from our panelists, our speakers, our attendees. I hope you can join us again soon at our future events. Guys, please, you can take a selfie or a screenshot, and I think I will talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Lawrence, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Enjoy
everyone,
your
for
evening.
joining.
Romulo
Bye.
and Fabio.
Bye, Fabio.
Sylvester.
Bye, Sylvester. Hope I can
And
see you
Lawrence.
soon again. Bye, Romulo.
Okay.
Carol.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Dove vedere c'è